Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks for being here today. And today we've got something with a little bit of an explanation. And we've got our yes, and we've got our no's, and we've got our with consideration. We got three different stop signs here, so to look at: red, green, and yellow. And what I'm doing is I had a customer send in a list of coins that he wanted some information on. He was calling it a pre-submission appraisal because I had just got done saying, hey, I'm not going to take any more coins for submission to NGC or PCGS for a bit. We're on a break. We were on a break, and he called and we spoke and we were talking about a few things. And this gentleman is newer to the hobby within the last few years. He's been buying a number of raw coins, and he wanted to know more about kind of how he's doing and whether or not he should get coins submitted. And we talked, and I decided to say, you know what, let's go ahead and kind of have at it a little bit and just talk about kind of what the grades are on the coins for him. And I was just going to do this for him. It was not a free service. We had agreed he would pay me $5 a coin to go through these and just tell him what I thought. And he mentioned in his letter, like, well, you can, make a video. I'm like, well, you know what? This actually probably has a lot of useful teaching points. Let's try this. So my favorite thing is, so he actually had things organized based on where he bought them from. Amazon, don't judge me. This just gave me a big, big smile all the way around. I didn't know you could buy coins on Amazon, but I'm kind of new at this. So I won't show you where he bought the other coins. They were mostly from a national person or his local coin shop. So this peace dollar, now first of all, the thing to know is that we're going to have somewhat different objectives when it comes to getting a coin graded, right? So the yes, no, and maybes depend a little bit on your perspective. So if you're a coin dealer, you've got to be able to have enough room in a coin to make it worth getting graded. So from that perspective, based on his buy prices, everything could just go straight into the no column, right? But because he's an individual and he wants to know more about coin grading, coin collecting, we'll try to talk a little bit more about if you were a collector, what you would do. So this is a coin that I think he had written down that he had paid in the $50 range for, just kind of a generally generic peace dollar. Coins like these, I will say, we usually sell in the shop for about $35. This coin has lightly been wiped, I would say. It doesn't have that full luster when you get it at an angle, a little bit of a 45-degree angle. It goes flat a little too quickly. That would end up definitely in the no pile for me. So we will talk a little bit more about just in general. There'll be some nuance, but also understand when I say, usually on my grade reveals, unboxing videos, don't try this at home, don't get coins graded. Usually what I'm talking about is just that, if you're going to collect raw coins, collect raw coins. If you're going to collect graded coins, collect graded coins, because you run into a whole lot of stuff where it's just not going to be worth your money to get them graded. So we can go straight into caveat mode with this 1943 Philadelphia Mint. Full split bands is correct. Really nice coin. The part that's difficult for a collector is that if you like coins like this, it's hard to find them already graded, because going back to the math, if I'm a dealer, it's very difficult for me to be able to purchase a $20 or $30 coin and then spend $20 or $30 on it to get it graded and still make money. And so that's kind of a problem. And for a collector, there's still that consideration of, well, should I bother putting these into holders? So for the no column, some of the things we're going to put into the no column right away is anything that needs help, or it has been cleaned, or maybe it needs a little bit of help. Like this coin actually has just a touch, just a wee little bit of some residue on it. It actually is a really nice grade. You can see the split columns really well. This is a coin that I would call extra fine. They called it extra fine. It was probably purchased within that same extra fine price point. This coin, in my assessment, you see the green stuff on there, would not straight grade. So, not being able to straight grade is something that generally is going to put us into the no column. So a lot of these coins Some of these coins I'll grab the gray sheet for. A number of them he has marked what he paid. And in general, I will say it's a little bit harder for me when I sell coins in the shop to get like full retail for raw coins. Generally, we get less than full retail for raw coins. But like I said, if you're buying $30 and $40 coins, it's really hard to find kind of classic numismatic coins that are already certified. So right here, this 1866. So what someone did over time was you've got a little bit of buildup on the nickel material, which is typical. Now this down here, what you're seeing are eraser marks. So that bright area that's running kind of just south of the arrows on either side, down through the date, you can see how it's bright and shiny. Someone took an eraser to that, and you'll see that they called it a net VG on that coin. Here we've got an 1837 large cent, which, let me see here, head of 38, that's good, they denoted that. There's lots of different styles and transitions in the large cent series. You can see lots of green stuff going on there, and this is something that if it were my coin, I would probably soak it in acetone for a little while and very lightly, very lightly with a Q-tip, try to remove some of the green stuff. But generally, based on price point, the answer is probably going to be no on a coin like that. And based on the fact that it has some heavier green stuff built in, it probably really needs that heavier green stuff to come out of it, off of it, from it, something like that. Here's an 1853. 3-cent silver in a fine plus holder. They're tough. The grading companies are really tough on these guys because they oftentimes come bent or scratched or damaged. Interestingly enough, you can also see just how flat the coin is struck on one side. The left side here, you got a full rim, the right side you don't. And so that's why I think they were calling it like a fine plus. It actually has a lot of detail on the areas that have detail. So the uneven strike of these coins really makes it hard to grade. If I just saw this coin and didn't notice the rim on this side and just saw this side of the coin, I'd call that a very fine. But it's kind of a harder one to consider. It looks to me like it would straight grade. I'm going to put that in the with consideration pile. Once again, if it was strictly based on price point, most anything that's going to be a less expensive coin is going to be a hard pass from a dealer's perspective. So, but that's not what his question is. He's just talking about getting things certified. Will it straight grade? Won't it? So once again, the material from the Flying Eagle pennies were struck out of this copper nickel. I would call that a low VF20 kind of coin. He called it fine to VF. Nice coin. So all these coins that are starting to go into this with consideration pile, mind you, what I'm going to propose is probably annex. In other words, you're going to be able to send coins in for that, $10 to $12 range and get them in a holder that'll satisfy what you're trying to do versus spending $22 to $30. You can probably spend close to $20 with NGC or PCGS. But at this point, my consideration for the customer is, do these coins need to be in a PCGS or NGC holder in these price points to be saleable? And my answer is no. You can sell coins in annex holders, I believe, that are, kind of sub $100, sub $200 type coins, and especially coins where the price point doesn't jump based on the grade. And maybe that's still kind of like the biggest thing for me on those. When you see a price point that's based on a grade jump, a big price jump on a grade, that's the place where you run into difficulty with the grading companies, with the secondary market, with collectors wanting to buy certified only PCGS or NGC. This coin here, a little bit of some green residue, but overall it's actually pretty decent looking coin. Once again, that $22 price point, rougher price point to get something graded, but once again, if my customer wants to get it graded, that's kind of his prerogative. Let's go with prerogative this time. Let's make up a new language some other time. All right, so we're going to use, I think, the gray sheet here in just a minute because I got to see, kind of understand what is the 1926 San Francisco. What is this guy doing over here? 26S, really an attractive coin. You know, they've got it marked down as BU plus. So I think, you know, if they're calling a BU, so to me, UNC is just MS60 to 62. BU is usually like a 63 type coin. Overall, I think this coin has a strong eye appeal to it. And I do think that, you know, a little bit of hairline action, but nothing that's like cleaning action. I do think that's a coin that would come back a 63. And with a shot at being a little bit nicer than a 63, I'm going to grab the gray sheet really quick and just take a look and see what does it all mean. What does it all mean? Try to not get philosophical while we're here. Also, trying to find a listing page on demand apparently is impossible. They have more Morgan listings after piece listings, which doesn't make any sense to me. 26S, 175 to 350, 310. So the MS63 column is 175 and the MS64 column is 310. So that's a coin with a pretty big jump to it. But I think that, you know, at that 120 price point, and once again, this still might be a coin that you send into Annex because it's, you know, that under a $200 price point. All right, next up we have a Oregon Trail. And once again, we have a coin that I think, you know, possibly was wiped at one point. You know, it has overall really great luster still, but also it's that turning of the coin and getting it at this angle where when it goes really dark really fast, instead of kind of at the same angle, you want it to still have some white to it. It's hard to describe. I just call it, you know, light or white and dark. You know, and actually, you know, these are two different types of coins, but still, you can see how at this angle to the light, there's still luster on this peace dollar, and how on the Oregon Trail there is not. This is the type of coin that I think the average person would look at and just call a nice choice. You know, just a nice UNC coin, but I do think that if you sent it in, it would probably come back with altered surfaces or cleaned. That's just my opinion on that guy. I'm not sure the exact price point on the date and mint mark combination of that. And but based on the fact that I think it's been cleaned, we're going to put it in that pile. 26S, calling this a net VF, which means that the seller was acknowledging probably that it has been at some point cleaned. What's interesting, net VF, it actually has some luster to the coin still. And also maybe the net VF is actually because there might be some scratches here. Right, so we have bueno scratches, so no bueno. You got a scratch coming off the A on this particular coin, and it's, you know, it has been cleaned. This is a good type of coin to put into like an album if you're doing album collecting. But I think probably the $36 was, I'd imagine, a relatively fair price on that coin. Just taking a look at it, trying to be objective about kind of what you're going to find in the marketplace, what things should cost you. This is a cool looking coin. Okay, so this coin, all right, so this coin was probably cleaned 100 years ago or more. Like, it has some lines on it that are pretty subtle that I can see popping up at some of those angles. Also, it has retoned in kind of a cool way, and you don't always see stuff like that, and that is undoubtedly something that would be called environmental damage, but I think it looks good. There you go. Ugly pretty instead of pretty ugly, right? Like, it's kind of a cool looking coin. And this, I'd probably have to check his list to see what he actually paid for it. It does have like a little rim bump on it, so things to look for. Like, at the arrow is pointing at the rim bump for us. There it is. Things to look for when you're buying raw coins in general. You know, it can be really hard to find stuff. It has a rim problem over here as well. It can be really hard to find stuff that's, kind of a nice looking unadulterated coin at a fair price. But I would throw this in the maybe column only because, once again, if you're going to go with Annex, it might be worth sending in there. Also, so this guy here is a missing clad layer. This is a pretty typical, I say typical, I knew a guy who was trying to put a complete collection of these together, statehood quarters with missing clad layers. It's actually very, very challenging to do. By my kind of, once again, my eye, there's actually cleaning to this coin. You can see the hairlines on it. The only reason to put this coin in a holder is just to have it verified as being authentic. So if the case is that you want this in a holder just to have it authenticated, then that's your option. This 1852. So I was talking earlier about the 3-cent silvers and kind of how they come a little bit rough once you get them up close and personal. You can see this guy has went through a stagecoach era and didn't survive the stagecoach. It has a lot, some scratch and stuff. Once again, not to derail or dethrone or talk poorly about raw coins. It's just understanding the price point and trying to find a coin that is good looking and what you should be paying for it. So like if this was in that $42 range, it's not totally out of line. 3-cent silvers are kind of tough. You can usually expect to pay at least $25 for a 3-cent silver that's kind of problem free and low grade. This coin has some detail to it. Once again, was not something that I would get certified. 1876. So this guy has some interesting things. XF detail. Once again, I can go to the list and find out what he actually paid for it here. Interesting, the detail part is you've got a scratch across the neck there, and you have these marks to the right, which are fascinating because they almost look like they're in the metal, but I don't think that they are. Once again, this is a coin that has a light cleaning to it, and it's not the type of thing that I would usually recommend getting certified. Like I said, some of the stuff I put into the certification pile are coins that I think would at least straight grade, or just if a collector wants to keep them in a holder in general. Next up, there's actually some ancients in here, and that's a nice looking Domitian. What's interesting is I just have the question. I don't know. Someone else will have to look this up because I did not. But Annex was, I think, for a time certifying. Actually, I know they were for a time certifying ancients. And so these all become price proposition type coins. Maximus Follis. Maybe there are a couple more. Maybe there weren't. It's not that my desk isn't too big. It's just that I put too much stuff on my desk. Okay, so let's take a look and see. So on the Domitian, he paid $120, and on the Maximus, $50. Neither of these are terribly out of line. I think that the Maximus at $50 is probably something that you could pick up for a little bit less. Same thing with the Domitian. Denarii, they used to be really inexpensive all the time. So, but if you can find a really attractive denarii for 75 to 125, it depends. There's so many things that go into that and factor into that. But I don't think that those prices are terribly out of line. Probably a little bit too much for my taste for what we would sell some stuff for in the shop raw. But once again, it's not like you're spending $250 on a $120 coin or $100 on a $50 coin. That's the type of thing that you really want to be careful of. Those I don't think are things to get certified, just generally speaking. We have an 1864 2-cent. Once again, looking like a pretty decent looking Annex type coin. This has a very nice original look to it. And let me see here. And we have a rotated reverse 180 degrees. So kind of fun. I think would be a fun Annex coin. And with the rotated reverse, the problem is with an error. Like it costs you an extra 18 or 20 bucks at the big grading companies. But this is a coin that's just to me kind of neat and worth getting certified. I think if I do this again, I will probably try to get things from the customer in or denomination and grade order, denomination and date order. So next up, I've got here a 1942 Waka Waka Waka. This is actually a very, very attractive coin. He paid, I think it said $89, which is probably, I don't want to say all the money. I think that's might be a 64.5, 65 price. Let me look this up real quick. In the old gray sheet, 1942, $half, flippity flippity, 42 $half. So a 64 is $70, 65 is $84, 66 is $115. So once again, it's the type of coin that, you know, he bought as a full gem as a 65. Generally, I don't recommend, if you're buying raw coins, always try to get it a little bit below gray sheet. I mean, you want to be able to buy those for less than gray sheet in general, or less than the full grade price. That's the type of thing where this is because to me, this is the type of coin that you can buy certified in a 65 holder, for close to what he paid for it, not certified. But once again, if our goal is to get a nice certified coin, that's one that I would put on the list. All right, so this guy, hello, I'm looking at you. Yeah, definitely has a lot of hairlines to it. You can see them moving in the field here. Those are not dye polish marks or anything else. One of the other things to notice about these is the way that they dance. So I'm not judging, so you think you can dance. That's Cat Daly's job. But if you look at the way that the hairlines are going vertically, then horizontally, then at an angle-y, and all those things. And the other thing, of course, is with all that brushing action that came into cleaning this coin, you'll see them going completely over the surface of Lady Liberty. So those things are running on her arm at the same angle that they're running across the field. This is something that it's got detail. I would say that a coin with this type of cleaning and also some heavier scratch lines, probably maybe a little bit less than that $300 range makes more sense. Usually on trade dollars, you're going to end up spending $150 on up anyways for a coin that's decent. But I would recommend, once again, you want to stay away from a problem coin and move towards problem free. The only reason to get that certified is for verification of authenticity. So you'll see people do that sometimes. So this 82cc at 150, this is probably, depending on when he bought it, historically accurate. That's a funny thing to say, but like the price point on these changed pretty dramatically over the last 5 years from coins like these always trading at $75 to going up to $150. And I'm just looking to see if I can see anything on here that's really green, or if that's just kind of on the plastic a little bit. I think that I would probably go ahead, if you're already into this one, spend the money and get it certified. I think it'll straight grade. There's an outside chance that some of that is green on the, what are we seeing here? Green on the holder, not on the coin. I'm looking at an area here that's beneath the wing and the arrow that is actually a little too bright and shiny. You see that? See how it's not on the other side under the wing and the olive branch? So, once again, I don't know if that'll straight grade if they see that. I'm going to put that with definitely a big caveat on that guy now that I see that little mark there. 1866. This is kind of a cool 2-cent piece, higher grade. I'm going to have to look at a sheet and see what he paid for it. And then use gray sheet to understand what the market is. Those 2-cent pieces, the copper that's from the time of the Civil War, roughly, right? A lot of that stuff over time, get a little green spot there, some dirt here. Wonderful looking coin. Extra fine to AU. Let me see if I can find really quick what he paid for it. Looks like he paid $70 on that coin. That's something that doesn't sound out of line at all. Let me grab the gray sheet really quick. So the gray sheet is an ongoing price guide. They put out a monthly publication. If you also find them online, they update things constantly online. So 66 brown coin in AU50 is $77. Yeah, I mean, nice looking piece. I think that, once again, price point, not worrying as much about price point. I think I would put that into the yes column as far as coins go to get graded. Something that if you're going to have it a long time, spending the money doesn't really hurt. All right, we've got, what do you got? Another 2-cent piece in here in 1867. Another one that looks to be pretty nice. Probably not quite as much detail as the last one. You can see a little bit more flatness there on the shield at the top. Also a little bit of that spotting and stuff. And so I've seen coins in holders like that have been straight graded, and I've seen coins in holders like that have not been straight graded. That coin he paid 40 bucks for, $41. So that to me, once again, if you're buying raw coins to keep raw coins and not put money into them, that looks like a very reasonable purchase. I mean, it's really an attractive coin. Gray sheet, that's VF money, VF30 money. I mean, it's really a lovely coin. I'd call it more of an extra fine. So that one to me is kind of like a nice purchase type coin. Once again, are they going to straight grade it with the little green spots on it? That becomes kind of a question mark of an item that way. All right, next up, we've got some interesting looking nickels here, right? So 1883, no cents. Bright luster on this guy. Bright luster. Very flashy. Trying to see through the plastic here a little bit to get to that surface quality and understand what I'm looking at as far as whether you're seeing lines on the plastic or lines on the coin, because that's really going to help you understand what the grader is seeing and what they're going to call that. There's actually a second one here. A very similar looking coin, and so I'm going to see kind of what he paid for these, and then we'll grab the sheet and see once again. So hopefully there's a little bit of a tutorial here for just like buying raw coins versus buying graded coins. These coins, it looks like he paid $150 each, which I will say my gut tells me right away that's not what you want to be spending on raw coins on that particular issue. And once again, what I'm talking about here is, here's your 1883, no cents is the top line. So you're buying a coin as like a 64 to a 65, but buying it raw. And so look at the different price points though. Low uncs aren't that expensive. So the reality is that, if you send that coin in and it comes back as 62, it's literally half the price. And so I wouldn't tell people to buy a coin as a gem coin unless it's certified. So once again, if the decision is based solely on, the financials of whether or not a coin is, worth getting certified based on what you paid for it, then you're going to have some no's. The second coin I feel like has a more natural look to it. On these guys, I think that's a little bit much to pay. I'm going to put that in the maybe pile. This guy, I think, probably has a little bit of some hairlines that you're not going to want to be sending in and taking a look at. 1806 large cent. Pardon me, half cent. Whichever. Looks like this he paid $98 for. Half cents can be very elusive in general. This guy, once again, has some stuff going on that I would, if it were my coin, probably soak it in acetone for a little while to try to remove a little bit of the extra dirt without doing anything to change the surface quality of the coin. You don't want to be brushing or doing anything like that with it. I think this is a very pleasing coin all in all. You tend to be a little bit more lenient with early coins. It's just one of those things. It's just like having a little bit more grace for a child than you would for an adult, for someone who should know better, right? Like, those coins are going to be a little bit rough. I'm just curious to see kind of what the price points are. 1806, that's like VG price, and I think that coin is, it doesn't jump a lot in fine, but I think it's a nice fine, so that one I think you did pretty good on. Once again, I'd I'd still probably keep this in my annex pile, if you will. I think a lot of my maybes are kind of more like annex coins. Actually, most of them based on price point. 1891, right away, 1891 dime, probably not worth getting certified in just basic, good condition. See if I can figure out what he paid on this guy. $60 feels high on that coin for me. Let me just see. Maybe 1891 happens to be a better date, or maybe he got in a bidding war unnecessarily, because we've all been there. We have all done that. 1891. Well, apparently I don't know how the gray sheet works. Let's see, dimes, half dimes, once again, 1891. So that coin is, yeah, should just be a $10 or $12 coin. Really, low-grade dimes are not that expensive. So that one maybe was a very early purchase for him, and he didn't know what he's getting into. Next up, I have this 1867 shield nickel, which I really want to like, but I'm also very concerned about its natural status versus its kind of been played with status. I feel like this is a coin that has been wiped and would come back as wiped. It has just, once again, that kind of dark look at an angle. It doesn't have that same look. It has luster, but it doesn't have like skin, right? So it has that bright, shiny luster, but it doesn't have that nice, original, authentic look at the right angles. Neat looking coin. So the 1867, let me see what he paid for that guy. Shield nickel, $150. Let's look it up in the gray sheet. See how that worked out. 1867 shield nickel. Oh, raise, no raise, right? Sorry about that. These guys come with raise and no raise. This is the no Ray variety. Sorry, Ray. Not everybody loves Raymond. 1867. We're going to go with the down here. No raise is one more column down. I'm about to knock stuff over as I try to do this, so I won't do that. $150 is like MS62 money. I feel like that coin's probably $110, probably more of an AU type coin on that one. Once again, there's a little bit of consideration for the fact that maybe it gets straight graded. I would possibly keep that in my maybe pile based on the definitions of what he's trying to accomplish. But, once again, for me, it's the type of thing where as a collector, it's really hard to buy coins at above the jump. And by above the jump, I mean coins that are, going to go from an AU to an UNC and have a big jump in price. All right, next up, what we have here is a failure to communicate. Now, what we have here is a rather large group of war nickels. And so this is awesome stuff. Really, really fun stuff. What I'm going to do with these is just go through them really quick. My recommendation on these without comment on each and every one is, if you like these coins, these tokens, this metal price 1 cent, is that, send them all into Annex and get them in holders. These guys in general, mostly it looks like he spent in the $35 to $75 range for most of them, a few outside of that realm. And so if you want to collect Civil War tokens, fun area to collect. Also, you're mostly going to find them raw like this because, once again, how is a dealer supposed to buy these things, get them certified, and get them to you at a reasonable price? Oliver, Boutwell, Miller, Troy, New York. Lots of the Troy, New York stuff redeemed at the New York office. Those are fun. Guy, the city went to redeem the coins with him, and he's like, what? Redeemed by D.L. Wing and Company, Albany, New York. Union Flour. Let's talk about another time here. United States. Here's one with the eagle and United States copper on top of a globe. That's a fun design. Hard not to like these things. Tradesmen's. good for one. Currency, that's a fun one. That one's really cool. So Civil War tokens are tokens that circulated during the Civil War period and in place of specie in some areas, Alden and Frink. And so oftentimes some will be called Civil War tokens, some will be called store cards. Usually a store card is one that has, you know, the name of the business on it. Merchants, Cohoes, New York, 40 Mohawk Street. I live at 40 Mohawk Street. That's amazing. Have to change my hair a little bit, but not much. Oh, here we go. Here's a George McClellan. Those are always popular. That's probably on the list of ones that he paid a little bit more for. This is a nice grade too. Well, I mean, most of these guys you'll see them in decent grade. But here you talk about the unevenness of a strike. Look at nay. It's just like the A is the only thing that's A. It's the Fonz. 1863. So you can just see the unevenness of a strike on some of these. Exchange. Look at, we've got some nice looking. Here's George Washington on this side with a flag, and you got the nice looking band equipment on the back here with drums and cannons, percussion instruments, both of them. Some more cannons and cannonballs, and we've got the anchors away, me boy. Ooh, our little monitor. These are amongst my favorite. I had a customer who specialized. Dude, there's a little scratch on that. That's too bad, but still, it's beautiful. Like, once again, the history of these is fantastic. Our little monitor. I had a customer that collected only the monitor-related items. I think I've got a piece of the monitor. Is that possible? No, it can't be right. All right, here we go with First in War, First in Peace. G-Dub. Army, Navy. Kind of a cool one here because a lot of them actually have the Indian head design, like the Indian head cent. And this one's cool because that actually has a Liberty flowing hair design, which is a little bit unusual for those. This has actually been my favorite part of the show so far. These are really fun. There's George Washington, a common theme. Just a reminder, both sides of the war claim George Washington as their own. Broaz Brothers, Our Country Pie Bakers. Before there's Dutch Bros, there was Broaz. Oh, what is this? Whoa, okay, I'm so in on this guy. Lager Beer. Oh, he looks like a king and a jester all at the same time. He's holding a beer, sitting on top of a barrel. It's party time. How funny is that? I've never seen this one. That is so cool. Look at the font on there. Deutsches, what is this word? I can't make that out. Okay, I see in boarding. Oh, boarding house. Seiler, Larrabee, Larrabee Street, Chicago. This has got to be my favorite Civil War token I think I've ever seen. That was fantastic. Crimes. Oh, Grimes. Sorry about that. When getting a name wrong. Grimes and Griner. Crimes of Griner. Oh boy. Censored. Dealers in dry goods. Notions and Company, Cannon, Ohio. And here you have a winged Mercury design. On that side, I got two more, and then we're going to call it a day. Not 1 cent, amongst one of the more fun designs. Not 1 cent. And this is... Oh, man. What a name. Not 1 cent of... What is this? Oh, Remembrance. Remembrance of 1863. I thought that was a name. Oh, it's a word. And, the Knickerbockers. Knickerbocker currency. That's right. That's right. This is what they actually got paid in New York when they played basketball back in the day. I owe you 1 cent. 1 pure copper. Yeah. Very fun. You know, some of them were kind of mocking in the way that they were made. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being here. Leave your comments down below. I appreciate it. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.